Final update. Use dating apps to eat at five-star restaurants without ever paying a dime until the quiet guy from work matched with me. I thought he was just another lonely wallet. Until he said, "Actually, I think you suggested this place, didn't you?" That's when I realized I'd just been played at my own game. Except I stood there feeling like the biggest idiot who ever lived. "You're friends with Casper?" I managed to choke out, even though I already knew the answer. Daniel nodded like it was the most natural thing in the world. "He's been worried about you," he said, and I could hear the fake concern dripping from his voice. "Thinks maybe you're not meeting the right kind of guys through those apps." I wanted to tell him exactly what I thought of his fake worry and Casper's interference in my personal life, but we were still in public, and I was already attracting way too much attention. Instead, I just stared at him, trying to understand how this had all gone so wrong so fast. This morning, I'd been excited about a free meal at an expensive restaurant and maybe even some leftovers for tomorrow's lunch. Now I was out $100 in my pride, and Monday morning was going to be an absolute nightmare because Casper would definitely want to hear all about how his little plan had worked out. "Enjoy the rest of your evening," Daniel said as I turned to leave. I could hear the smugness in his voice, even though he was trying to sound polite. I walked out of that restaurant feeling like everyone was staring at me, like they all knew I'd just been completely humiliated by the most boring man alive. My car was running on fumes, which meant I'd have to choose between gas and groceries for the rest of the week. All because some widower and my nosy coworker decided to teach me a lesson I never asked for. Monday morning came like a death sentence, and I spent the entire weekend dreading the moment I have to face Casper at work. I practiced angry speeches in my shower, planned cutting remarks that would put him in his place, and convinced myself that I was the real victim in this whole situation. After all, what I did with my dating life was none of his business, and setting me up like that was basically workplace harassment, maybe even illegal, depending on how you looked at it. I walked into the office ready for war. But when I saw Casper at his desk, something in his expression told me this was going to be even worse than I'd imagined. He looked almost sorry for me, which was somehow more infuriating than if he'd been gloating about his successful little scheme. So I said, dumping my purse at my workstation loud enough for half the office to hear, "I hope you're proud of yourself." But instead of the argument I was expecting, Casper just sighed like I was exhausting him and said, "Ashley, we really need to talk." That's when he told me something that made my blood run completely cold. Daniel wasn't just his friend, Daniel was friends with half the guys in our age range in this entire city, including 3 of the men I'd scammed over the past 2 months. While I'd been congratulating myself on my brilliant system and keeping detailed spreadsheets of my earnings, word had been spreading through their social circles about the girl who used dating apps to get free meals. They had a group chat. They'd been comparing notes about me. They knew my real name, where I worked, which restaurants I preferred, even some of the lies I told about my job and my interests. "They call you the dinner bandit," Casper said. I could see he was trying not to smile. "Daniel volunteered to take one for the team and give you a taste of your own medicine." What I thought was my secret weapon had become a running joke among every decent guy in town. They were sharing screenshots of my dating profiles, warning each other about my tactics, even rating the restaurants I'd taken them to. I wasn't some clever mastermind, I was the punchline of jokes I'd never even heard.